它是个日本品牌嘛，它居然就在新闻上说不使用新疆棉，那我们为什么还要使用它呢？
我觉得应该没那么夸张吧。我觉得选材的这东西本身就是要经过挑选过的啊。
Hello， 大家好，欢迎回到外媒看中国，我是安博然。Japanese clothing outlet Uniqlo is in hot water with Chinese consumers after its CEO Tadashi Yanai told the BBC that the company was not using cotton from Xinjiang, showing that Japan's richest man is bowing to pressure from Washington manipulation designed to destabilize and damage the region, the Uygur people, and their livelihoods. But is it all just a game by the BBC to stir up trouble? And should consumers be more wary of Western media manipulation when it comes to deciding how to spend their money? Today we'll discuss and also see what people on the streets of Shanghai have to say. This is Reports on China. I'm Andy Boreham in Shanghai. Let's get reporting. Calls to boycott Japanese clothing brand Uniqlo in China were trending on Chinese social media last weekend after the BBC aired an interview with Japan's richest man, Tadashi Yanai, CEO of the clothing brand's parent company, Fast Retailing, where he admitted he doesn't source cotton from China's Xinjiang region. Chinese nationals were quick to pounce on the comment, calling for a boycott of the stores in China, which make up Uniqlo's biggest market after the domestic Japanese market. But was this exactly what the BBC was hoping for? And have Chinese netizens merely fallen into a Western media trap? Well, it might appear that way if you look at how the BBC framed the interview, which covered multiple topics on YouTube. Despite talking about a number of different issues with the Japanese billionaire, the BBC still chose to frame the entire interview with this title: Uniqlo does not use Xinjiang cotton, boss says. Interesting. Now let's take a look at that tiny part of the interview and then we'll discuss it more.
I want to ask you about supply chains because Uniqlo has been trying to build supply chains that customers can trust, where there's transparency about the environmental impact and human rights. Is this because of a controversy over whether Uniqlo uses cotton from Xinjiang? You didn't confirm nor deny that back in 2021. Can you clarify if there's any cotton from Xinjiang in Uniqlo products?
No, we're not using cotton from Xinjiang. By mentioning which cotton we're using. Actually, it gets too political if I say any more. So let's stop here.
Now, I'm not saying at all that we should feel sorry for the CEO here. Firstly, he is super wealthy, Japan's richest man, with a net worth of US $48.1 billion. That's billion with a B. I don't think it's fair or ethical for anyone to accumulate so much wealth when there is still so much poverty in the world. Secondly, he's the CEO of a massive company. He should have been better prepared for such a line of questioning from the BBC. He was not, and he's facing the consequences. But having said that, is it time that we as consumers started to ignore slimy tricks like this from Western media outlets who are more than happy to stir up trouble for the sake of a few clicks? Now, it turns out that CEO Tadashi Yanai has been quite a supporter of Chinese manufacturing in the past, praising the country's skilled workers, high-level infrastructure, and stable environment. He's also criticized US-led initiatives that aim to decouple from China. And it's not just Chinese manufacturing that Uniqlo needs. The company also prizes its access to the Chinese market. There are around 900 Uniqlo stores on the Chinese mainland alone, making up the company's largest international market. And Tadashi Yanai wants to build even more stores here in the coming years. Sure, you might say he's just doing that for money. He's a billionaire, after all. But despite his shortcomings, it seems unlikely that the CEO would have gone out of his way to purposefully anger Chinese consumers. After all, this short few days of backlash has already led to shares of Uniqlo's parent company dropping up to 4.4%. Was this the BBC's goal all along? Hear me out. Damaging Uniqlo's manufacturing base here in China by pushing Chinese consumers to boycott the brand could ultimately damage China's image as an excellent, highly skilled, and stable place for international companies to produce their goods. Let's look at the numbers. Uniqlo has 211 of its 397 manufacturing facilities right here in China. On top of that, nearly half of its textile mills are here as well. Now imagine the job losses in China then if Uniqlo was forced to pull out. We all know that the US government's main goal is to destabilize the Xinjiang region any way it can. Just one way of doing that is destroying employment prospects for the local people, including the Uygur people, which will send them back to poverty and then make social unrest more likely. And that is exactly what they want. So it can't be much of a stretch then to surmise that maybe the BBC was hoping to help achieving just that by stirring up trouble for the clothing brand and ultimately destroying China's reputation as a manufacturing powerhouse. So then, is it time that Chinese citizens ignored disgusting media attempts like this one to damage their country? Well, today I sent Sophie out on the streets of Shanghai to find out. Let's take a look.
反正我觉得是以后不会买优衣库了。之前还觉得挺就是亲民的，但是这件事之后就感觉不怎么会买它了。它是个日本品牌嘛，它居然就在新闻上说不使用新疆棉，那我们为什么还要使用它呢？
我觉得应该没那么夸张吧。我觉得选材的这东西本身就是要经过挑选过的啊，它可以后面可以再用一下，
不会因为这个原因不买，
不影响。
觉得这个没必要上升到就是所谓的爱国不爱国吧。爱国的形式有很多种，我们现在也是中国也在全世界也属于一个大国的形象，我们的格局眼光应该放得更大一点，不要仅仅的总掐这种就小问题方面啊。
我们看的话也只是一个片段，资讯的话应该是可能就是说需要有一个头有一个尾的事情的综合起来去看待这个事情。我觉得还是要相对客观独立的，或者说以他公司就是公布的一个实际情况来主吧。
他不是说一定要强制用新疆棉，这是我的看法，就是他可以用很多别的棉，但是呢，他就是公开就说这话的话，就是我觉得就是有一种就是你在跟中国对着干的感觉。如果他真的就是就是 publicly 就是在公开的场合下面说这些话的话，我可能会真的抵制他。
还有另外一点就是，据说这个是断章取义，他们只是说他们用不起新疆棉，新疆棉比较高级。这一身全都是。
哦，你这一身都是优衣库。国内有很多，我觉得有很多平替，就是我不一定要买优衣库，有很多国产品牌更便宜，然后面料更好。但是我们俩在国外，所以国外的话，它选的比较少，就是我们能付得起价格的范围内的东西比较少，所以有可能我们被经济原因影响，我们被迫选择优衣库。
我非常同意，非常同意。
所以这一身都是国外买的是吗？
对的。
是在哪个国家？
在美国买的。
Very interesting. Thank you so much, Sophie. A lot of mixed views there, which of course runs totally against the Western media narrative of Chinese people being a massive monolith of brainwashed automatons with one single point of view. So what do you think? Should Chinese citizens boycott Uniqlo for being too weak to stand up to US pressure to boycott Xinjiang cotton? Or is it time we realize the complex situation that international brands like Uniqlo are in as they try to straddle pressure from Washington and the reality on the ground? Should Uniqlo face a massive slap from their largest overseas market and learn to get a backbone? Or should we instead keep ignoring the BBC and their attempts to cause drama? As always, I would love to hear what you think, so do let me know down below. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help the channel. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.